Hello, welcome to the Aston Villa Fanzone, our match preview show here on Claret and Blue, as we look ahead, John, to Aston Villa hopefully winning 8 matches across all competitions at home when they face Wolves this Sunday. I've spoke about this a little bit in the post-match show for the Young Boys game as a real opportunity and one that you surely have to go and win. And I know that will set people off as the you've jinxed it brigade. However, it's just one of those games, isn't it? And I know we'll get into it as we go. It's still a local rivalry. It's still the chance of a potential banana skin. But if you take away, the orange shirts and then the club name, this is a team that Villa simply have to beat at home.
Yeah, it is. Almost everyone that I've spoken to before yourself about this game, it's just been all classic Villa. You know what's going to happen.
I know.
So, no, yeah, Emery called it in his press conference a small derby. He was a small derby, which made me laugh a little bit because
small club.
He didn't say that, neither did we. But yeah, it's a game that Villa have to win. Every home game is a game that have to win. I think Villa can beat Villa. Sorry, I think Villa can beat any team in world football at home. We've beaten the European champions PSG at home. We've beaten Man City, beating Arsenal at home in recent years. Like, we're capable of doing it to anyone, but it's just about consistency. And we've been consistent, but against those teams who, we are definitely favourites to beat. It's another thing to stay at your 100% level. And Emery didn't kind of get sucked into that in his presser again. He always talks like this anyway, but last week and this week, so before Leeds and before Wolves, twice now he said that he doesn't feel the favourite. He doesn't feel like Villa are favourites in any game, because for him, if you kind of slip into that sort of mentality, then he thinks his players will then not give 100%, because you go onto the field, don't you, and automatically you think, well, if we can play to a decent level, we should win this game. But already, if that's how you're going to play, the odds are that in the Premier League, you are going to get found out. And even against Wolves, of course, nearly beat Spurs. Spurs have had some home troubles so far this season, but I think that's kind of a good warning or a good example for Villa, that Spurs game. That's what can happen if you aren't 100% on it.
We talk about the classic Villa thing very quickly of a team who is struggling for form. Villa rock up and they win. It very rarely works the other way around, that we stop a team's winning run. You look at Liverpool losing again in Europe, and you think, they look at their recent form and there's one green dot for them. And who did they? Oh, it's Villa. Of course it was. That seems to happen quite a lot, those kind of things. There's an added bonus to it. Wolves are terrible, and I think they're destined to go down. The fact they've still not won a game yet, and they're surely going to win a match at some point this season. It would be classic Villa for it to be this one, right? That's how the narrative is starting to build up here already. And I don't think they will, but it will. We all have those feelings of nervousness of what if. I would quite like them to have won a game elsewhere, so that this wasn't the potential to be their first, because there's that sense of you just know what's going to happen.
Yeah, partially it's because as Villa fans, nothing that's good lasts for that long. But under Emery, it has, really.
It's hard to get used to that change, isn't it, in mentality?
No, it definitely is. But at the same time, if we were, this makes me feel sick, if we were Man United fans or any other fan of another club, we would be saying the same thing of, it's probably going to happen to us. Or Spurs fans would say it, and it nearly happened to them. But you would add to that Wolves have a decent record, to be fair, against Villa in the last few years. Obviously, last season, they came very close to, avoiding defeat against us. I think it wasn't until Conte scored. I think it was like 7 or was it 12 minutes at a time in that game? I think we scored twice in the second half.
Yes.
Second half at a time. The season before that, I think we beat them, was it 2-0? But Wolves didn't have a striker on the pitch. So, for different reasons. And obviously in Molineux, we struggle. So Wolves have won just one of their 14 top flight games against Villa between 1980 and 2012. But since then, both teams have been back in the Premier League, Wolves have won 6 of the 12 against Villa. So, 50% against us. But I guess you can kind of flip that and say, well, for half the time we've both been in the Premier League, maybe a little bit less than half now, but Wolves were always better than us, weren't they? For a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 years even, and then Villa have obviously been far superior since then. So now it's kind of turning into our favour, and we have to get those results. We have to win this game and win at Molineux. I don't remember the last time Villa had done the double against Wolves. That must be Did we do it?
97.
Yeah.
Let's dive into some of these fan comments then, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the European game and how that feeds into this fixture. And do you want to fire me a topic from the mailbag, please?
Okay. Let's go for remarkable return.
Okay, remarkable return. This is from Jer. Considering the abysmal start to the season that we had and the incredibly underwhelming transfer window that has yielded little to no return from Harvey Elliott, Evan Gesson, or Jadon Sancho, do you find it remarkable to see us where we are? Only 2 points off second in the Premier League and third only on goal difference in the Europa League. I don't know whether it is still third or whether this was sent in last night. It is remarkable, isn't it? And I know the next comment, or one of the comments in here, actually it will be the next one because we'll do it next. You kind of think, and we touched on this in the post-match, of, well, how much better could we be if Ollie Watkins was on 10 goals, if everyone was on 6 or 7 goal contributions? You know what I mean? We're doing well with what we are, but we feel as fans, still this and still that isn't quite right, and still where we are. Is it let's just take stock of that and appreciate what we've got? Or is it a sense of maybe frustration of, but we could be so much better?
Yeah, there's two sides to it for me, and you kind of mentioned them there, to be fair. One of it is excitement that we can get better, because you say, I think we spoke about this last week, potentially, or I mentioned that whenever we do a little walk and talk, I always talk about, well, our strikers aren't scoring goals, though, and I think there's more to come from Rodgers. I think there's more to come from this player. Tielemans has only just returned, blah, blah, blah. So it is exciting to one element, but I must admit, I'm quite a pessimistic person in life, to be honest. But I do side a little bit with I don't think we can count on this for the long run.
You're not going to expect us to score an Emi Buendia free kick every week, or Matty Cash to score from outside the area. Those things you'd expect not to last.
No, and I do, to kind of take it one step further. I mentioned this when I was walking back home yesterday, doing my little video, and I said that I am worried about how, or if we're going to rely on Sancho and Gesson to then come in for a McGinn or Rodgers or Buendia or whoever it may be when we're playing knockout football in the Europa League to try and win that trophy and get in the Champions League, or to stay in the top 4, top 5 of the Premier League. Because I don't think that they're good enough to play Brighton away and win, and then play whoever else, we've got coming up, or kind of hypothetical that also I know we have after Brighton, but further down the line. Last season, it was Rashford comes in for Watkins, or vice versa. It was Asensio and Rodgers and McGinn and Malen, like real quality. I'm not seeing it. Well, we're not seeing Harvey Elliott, because really probably
we're not seeing Harvey Elliott.
We're not seeing Harvey Elliott. I'm not. I think Sancho can play a role in these league phase games. Like, there's no issue there. He's good enough to make an impact in these matches. And even then, there's times in some of these games against Maccabi and the other night as well, where he's not playing out his skin or anything. We're not seeing anything extraordinary. He's just playing to a decent level. But can he do that against Arsenal or Chelsea or Everton, whoever in the Premier League? He hasn't started a league game yet, if I'm not mistaken. So he needs to show a bit more for me. Gesson needs to show an awful lot more in terms of what Emery wants from him. Maybe it's unfair to kind of judge him on what Emery's asking him to do. I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I don't think we can rely on what we're doing at the moment, i.e. Malen scores brace after Rodgers scores brace, Watkins not scoring, is it 1 in 18 or something? That needs to change. And then, just after January, when the pressure really ramps up on this team, I do question whether, firstly, we're going to be able to stay fit, because naturally injuries will occur. At the moment, we only have one injury in Tyrone Mings, and touchwood, nothing happens this weekend or beyond it. But then also players coming in and out of the team and how we're going to refresh the side. I'm a bit wary of what happens there. But of course, that's before January. So kind of park that for now. Let's focus on the next month ahead.
I'm going to read a comment here from Ross. You know what happens, because we're kind of talking about it anyway, but to get a fan opinion to back up what we're saying. As a Villa fan, the negative side worries me that Wolves haven't won a game yet, so you know what happens on Sunday. The positive side says we're 4th in the table, despite such a poor start to the season, plus the fact I still don't think we've been close to hitting our best form, other than glimpses of it during certain games, as well as a number of players still underperforming, like Gesson, Sancho, Watkins, etc. That was from Ross, which is what we've just been saying. And I think a lot of fans will feel the same. Everyone I speak to about Villa who maybe doesn't know they're not Villa fans is, wow, you're doing really well. You were in like the bottom 3 after the first few games. Yeah, 5 games I think it was for us before we even was it scored a goal or got a shot on target or won a game or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a terrible start, and we've really turned it around to be probably not the form side. I suspect that's probably Arsenal, but maybe second best side in the league on form. Obviously, won the amount of games that we've won in the Europa League as well, and right up there, joint top, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
That's a sign of a really good team, and we're heading into December. This isn't that we are. I mean, still 12 games feels quite early to me. Still, it isn't. It's a third, isn't it? Almost of the Premier League season, but it's still quite early. But Villa have massively turned a corner to be in the bottom 3. What was it? A point ahead of Wolves, and they've had I don't know how many points more since. Very, very few.
Yeah.
And Villa have taken pretty much maximum. It is a remarkable turnaround. There isn't a better word than remarkable to use. And that I did not foresee this upturning form coming at all. I don't think many people would have.
Oh no,
I thought we'd get better than we were. Like I was never worried about relegation and those kind of things. But if we were now like 9th and 6 or 7 points away from the top 4, I'd still have been like, well, we've turned it round. To do what we've done already is mad.
Yeah, I've been shocked by the results that we've had because the level of performance was so poor back then.
I still don't think we're playing that well.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it, not me. I don't want to sound negative again on this podcast, but yeah, I think the Premier League is very competitive this year. Yeah. But there's not a lot of good football being played.
Across the board.
Yeah, across the board. I just don't think it's been a great product so far. But I also couldn't give two hoops about
Careful,
that.
John.
As long as we achieve our objectives this season, there's no right or wrong way to play football. It really isn't. So for that reason, doesn't matter. But I would just say that again, as you said there, Dan, it depends how we want to play this. You could be excited that we can definitely improve, or worried that we don't improve and that we fall away because the results we've been getting, maybe the performances haven't been quite marrying up to that. For example, at Leeds, you were away, weren't you, Dan? So it's not ideal to ask you this question.
I've seen extended highlights.
Yeah, but it's not as if we were peppering their goal. Without Rodgers scoring that free kick, I don't think we necessarily. Put it this way, I don't think you come out of that game and think if we hadn't won, I can't believe we didn't win that game or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But the results show for themselves. We've put points on the board, and that is ultimately what matters. It's just we're not in April, we're in November, and it's a long way to go. So, it really depends how you want to sit on it. But ultimately, we are where we are, and it's a fantastic position to be in. And full credit to the players for turning it around as well, because there was a lot of angst amongst the fan base, and even in that mist of poor results that we were getting, the likes of Rodgers, Conser, I think maybe Mings as well, they all spoke about how it'll turn. We're all very confident. It's fine, So a lot of confidence in the dressing room still, or there was, and now it's shown on the pitch as well.
Yeah. Okay, give me a topic then, please, John.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to tackle this one. Not rating the player ratings.
I love John Townley, but his match ratings make me wonder sometimes. How did Onana get a 7 where he controlled the middle of the park against young boys compared to Rodgers, who played some decent passes, but more often than not gave the ball away? An 8 is beyond me. That's from John McGinn. Not the John McGinn, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, no.
We've spoken about player ratings a few times.
It's
this kind of subjective thing that just because you see it that way and you've given somebody a score, it doesn't mean that that's the definitive
of course not.
ruling on that game and that performance.
I will back it up, though. I do think Rodgers played at an 8. I just thought he was a class above the young boys players. He can give the ball away a few times, but he's still got an assist. For me, a midfielder, if they're going to, for my ratings anyway, if they're going to get an 8 or a 9, it probably needs some sort of goal involvement, or if you're playing a top, for example, if Onana puts in that performance against a Liverpool or an Arsenal, he's going to get an 8. Absolutely. He was playing against who were we playing? Completely forgotten. Young boys. He's playing against a young boys midfield, which if he doesn't dominate that midfield, you get to 5 or a 4. I'm basing it on the level of the player that we're looking at. I know what I've just said in terms of Rodgers was a class above. Andy got an assist though, and I think he was playing first gear as well. I just thought he was class. Same as Tielemans. I gave Tielemans an 8 as well. I believe, did Tielemans get an assist? Yeah, of course, for Malen's header, and he had that. exquisite
both
pass
with
around.
Gesson as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. No, Anana was terrific, absolutely. But comparing the level of team,
Yeah.
I don't.
It's all subjective. I just find a lot of fuss over player ratings, and I don't really get it myself. But anyway, give us another topic then, please.
Sure. Let's move on to right back or wrong back.
Right back or wrong back is my worst header of the lot, I think, today. Very short one, which is difficult to think of one. From Keith. That's Keith, not Keith, by the way, that I've pronounced terribly. Keith, Keef. I'm more convinced than ever that Evon Gesson is a right back. That was it. Is he John Keith? Is he right back or is he wrong back? Is Evon Gesson a right back?
He's not left
Again,
back.
we've touched on this a few times earlier in the season. He's good going. He's good defensively. He's good closing down. Good physicality to an extent.
So
going forward offers so little that maybe he's playing in the wrong position.
Yeah. Again, my caveat to all of this is he's still early in his Villa career, but now we do need to start seeing more from Gesson. Unfortunately, and it's not a comment that I like to make about Villa players, but if Gesson is the answer, what's the question? And I don't think it's
right back or wrong back.
I don't think that's it. But yeah, I think that's what a lot of Villa fans probably think at the moment. But I would say this is just watching him, and it's valid. We're watching him in football matches. He's paid to play football matches and play well in them. But that's all we're watching him perform in. Training is another element to it, and Emery will be seeing how he's coping in that and what he wants from the player himself. So yeah, there's not much I can say about it anymore, or that we can discuss about it. He's been taken out of the team. Obviously, he played against young boys, but that's our second team in parts. But there was a run of games that he had, 5 or 6 games, wasn't it? I think where Emery was trying to play him into something, play him into a bit of a rhythm. Didn't quite happen, so he's taking him out of the side. Buendia stepped up, and now all of a sudden, Buendia, Malen, McGinn and Rogers, they're the players who you would probably pick across those 3 positions. So obviously one of them is left out. Probably get onto that later. But Gesson for me doesn't kind of come close to that at the moment, which is a shame because there was a point, I think it was after Fulham, where I was starting to like what I was seeing from him because he's kind of showing signs that he was adapting, and I really do rate his off the ball work, but as an attacking threat, it's very limited at the moment, and I don't know exactly why that is, but he's making the wrong decisions, and there's just a general lack of quality. I'm not just going to.
Should he have done better with that chance that Tielemans put him through for? Kind of
I do. Yeah.
Steam
Well, there was a couple of chances. I think there was that chance where I think he's trying to kind of weave in and out, and he made it complicated for himself. There was another one as well where the ball comes over the top, but I don't think it was intended for him. I can't quite remember. And he's basically run inside the pitch, and he's ended up more so on the left side of the box. And instead of taking his man on and probably, I don't know, doing a step over and trying to bend the ball in the corner, like would seem like an Ollie Watkins do. That's like his trademark. Gesson just continued to run down the left wing and was going nowhere. And I just thought, I don't even know what you're trying to do there. You're one-on-one with your man, like show something. So confidence is probably part of it, but I'm not totally sure that confidence can be the only thing to blame here. So yeah, I don't want to kind of like put him down, but unfortunately there isn't much to say about Gesson because we're not seeing enough from him. Yeah, hopefully that turns. He's got the right physique for the Premier League. It's just, I think up here he needs to kind of piece together the pieces of his game, essentially. And look, if anyone's going to do that, it will be Emery. So I don't think we can write him off or anything like that. It's far too early to be doing that, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm going to pull one from the bag next and discuss Watkins because you mentioned him just there. I'm going to do 2 here in one. This header much better and was actually suggested from Harry in the mailbag. He created his own header for his message. I love that. Yeah. This is Magnificent Malen versus Weary Watkins. I know people have been saying that Malen isn't an out-and-out striker, but he's getting goals for us, and I always feel excited when he's on the pitch as he always does something that looks good and pays off. Yeah. I believe he has more than earned the right for a run in the team. I know this may hurt Watkins' confidence, but I think it's more than confidence for him. People have been saying he's nursing an injury for ages, and you can see that he looks slower. So I think it's time for Watkins to be dropped for a little while and for him to try and get fit again without the pressure of playing. And from Harlon Marewood, Watkins and Malen combo. I watched Wolves last weekend against Palace. It's not that they're truly awful, but they don't react well to conceding. No. So I think this game is set up for Watkins and Malen to play together. Despite the responses to this podcast and others, it is really nice to see Villa Park so desperate for him to score. The fans home and away don't seem to show the same negativity as online, which we've discussed a little bit before as well. And this is not a what's going on with Ollie Watkins debate again, because we've done it and nothing's changed since the last time we had it 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago. Of those two options, I suppose, if you want to break it down into dropping Watkins for Malen to be the striker or playing them together, which one would you go for?
This reminds me of Matt's. I was listening to the post-match walking back from Moore Street yesterday, and he was talking about the three options that he had that he spoke about in our little post-match chaotic thing that we did after Leeds, and he just forgot the other two.
There's three options. I'll tell you one, and I'll just go with that one because I can't remember the other two.
But no, I said it after the match straight away. I want him to play with Ollie, and it's
that's what I would like to see.
Two points I want to make on this quickly. I said before the start of this week, Watkins for me has this week is a massive opportunity to try and get somewhere in terms of confidence and everything else that's missing from his game. Was it Harlon Merwood that said this, or was it Harry? I think it was Harry that mentioned he's been playing with a bit of a niggle. So maybe, this week won't necessarily mean he's going to get over that. But the point I was trying to make is that young boys and Wolves at home, Villa are going to dominate the ball. Villa will make chances. Well, I hope those things happen and make chances and win the games, score goals. And we need Watkins to be doing those things as well. That's the first point. So I want this to be an opportunity for him to play and score. If it doesn't happen, that's an issue because Brighton away is a difficult game. Arsenal at home, difficult game.
Good records against Brighton and Arsenal, Watkins has.
He does. Not at Brighton, though. I don't think he's scored at Brighton, but valid still. And then the second point to that I wanted to make was that Malen and Watkins, it worked a treat against Burnley. And I've said before, I'll say it again, Malen, I don't think scores those goals against Burnley in the system that Villa played. Maybe if he's played as a lone striker and he had Buendia behind him, he still might score some goals against Burnley. But the goals that he scored against Burnley, and he did twice, because of Watkins' movement, making the space for him to exploit. So, let's see that again against Wolves. That's how I would play it, and I would play Rodgers left and McGinn right, and then Buendia's off the bench if you need him. But what would be really interesting, Dan, we don't want this to happen. We want to be 4 goals up inside the first 20 seconds. But if on the hour...
What an achievement that would be, by the way. 20 seconds.
If on the hour mark, we do need a goal or we need something to change, what does Emery do? Does he take Watkins off a Malen?
If they're both playing.
Because he will probably do one or the other. And that for me is the fascinating thing here. I'm confident he'll play Malen with Watkins, but I'd be surprised if he didn't, to be honest.
Would you? I wouldn't be. I actually don't think we will do that.
Do you not? I think he's got to play Malen. And I'm people will know this podcast and probably say that I'm too pro Watkins as such, but even to the point where I'm not trying to drop him for Wolves. But I'm adamant I need Malen on the pitch for Wolves. We need him to start that game. Not saying that if he doesn't start, we won't win. We can beat Wolves without him. But in my opinion, we have a better chance to do so with Malen in that team. I think his pacing behind will frighten them. It's another player for them to try and occupy. So, Wolves have conceded the most goals in the league, scored the least. It's a team we need to be beating. Put firepower on the pitch. And for me, that looks like Malen and Watkins. And hopefully both can get goals.
Yeah, it is interesting if they both start. How do you then change that if you need to get a goal because there isn't a natural replacement because they are each other's replacement. But like you say, hopefully it doesn't come to that anyway. I picked an 11 that I would like to see on the post match. So I'll run through that now. Martinez, Cash, Konsa, Powell. I'd like to see Maatsen more, but I'll stick Dean in there. Tielemans and Kamara's the 2. McGinn right. Rodgers left, Malen and Watkins is the team I would like to see. That would excite me going to Villa Park. The team, I'm not necessarily saying I think it will be this, but if it was this, the front 4 was Watkins up front, McGinn left, Rodgers in the middle, and Malen off the right. Is that also a possible option?
Possibly. Who were the options again in those 3 positions? Who were the options, sorry?
McGinn, Rodgers, Malen.
So you're missing out Buendia. No, that's a variation of that. I'd understand it, but I just think considering Malen has played always has been in form playing with Watkins against Burnley and where he's scoring goals as well. For that reason, I would just play him centrally. I don't think there's a need to necessarily stick him out on the right. But yeah, as long as he's on the pitch, I'd be happy, I think.
Okay, give us another one then, John. I think we've got a couple left.
Let's go with success and failure.
Success and failure. That's quite a long one. Jacob Tanswell mentioned that he believes that finishing in the European places again could be Emery's greatest achievement to date at Villa, considering the chaotic summer and woeful early performances. I'm inclined to agree with him, says mystery commenter. However, I also agree with John that anything less than Europa League victory would be an unacceptable outcome.
Mm-hmm.
I would be able to stomach a middling finish in the Premier League if we won a trophy. But how high would we need to finish in the league to blunt the disappointment of a team of our quality crashing out of the Europa League? I just don't know. What do you think? Could our season simultaneously be a failure and an Unai Emery masterclass? It's very interesting because our assessment of or predictions of how Villa could play out this season and what looks like success does change. The start of the season was be in the Champions League in the following year, whether that's via the top four or winning the Europa League. After the first 5 or 6 games, you probably reassess those options to be, I think if we can get in Europe again in some way, that would still be good. Just finish in a European place somehow, whether it's Champions League or otherwise. Whereas now I kind of go the other way and think, well, yeah, I actually think we probably should be trying to finish in the top 4. Like, I think that's a genuine possibility this season now. I think you've got Arsenal, Chelsea, and Villa will be in the top 4 somewhere.
Yeah. So 3 things on this. Firstly, just on that one, I do think right now there's an argument to say Villa are probably the, 3rd best team in the league. I think Chelsea at the moment, you're probably sticking second because they are doing well. But maybe there's an argument that Villa are second. I don't know. But it's such a long season that right now I'm not. It's so hard to, What I would say to that straight away is that you have to separate the 2 competitions for me. And it's something that Emery does as well, but you have to. In the league, it's 38 games. It's pretty grueling. We obviously have European competition, and that is a big focus for us this season for different reasons, as I'll get on to. We all know why. But in the league, if we can qualify for European football again, yeah, I think that's a huge achievement because of the financial restraints we're under, because of the summer window that we had that I don't think was very good. And also other teams being able to improve. Man United don't have European football, but can splash out 200 million quid. Liverpool, Jesus, the money they've spent. No, they took some in, but they also added some, verts. It's madness. So what Villa are coming up against to finish in the top 6 positions or top 7, those commercial 6 clubs have a huge access to money and wealth that they can call on. It's ridiculous, and Villa simply don't have that because of their revenue streams at the moment. So for that reason, finishing above just 1 or 2 of those teams in the division, that's always a huge achievement. It's a massive achievement every single time you do it. It has to be. So for that reason, yeah, finishing 6th would be a massive achievement for Villa this season. It would, because of all the other teams. It's not Villa's fault that Tottenham, for example, if Villa finish above Tottenham, it's not their fault that they've recruited the wrong players. For example, if Simons doesn't quite work and Palhinha can't progress the ball, all right, it's not Villa's fault that you can't spend that money correctly. They still had the opportunity to do so. Villa have gone about their business themselves, and if they finish above some of those sides, it's always going to be a huge achievement for me. On the Europa League, yeah, I've said it before, it's failure if Villa don't win that competition, and I stand by that until, hopefully, it doesn't happen, but until the final, and I'll say it again, if we lose the final, it's failure. You have to win. Villa have to win now under Unai Emery. We spoke about it previously. I'm not going to rant about it now, but there isn't a single team there that Villa can't beat, and it's kind of my point again, if in the quarterfinals Villa lose to Lyon, no one's going to feel a huge amount of pride that we got to the quarterfinal of the Europa League. That's not me insulting the competition whatsoever, but we have a manager that's won the thing 4 times. We have the biggest squad, the best squad, the most expensive squad, the biggest wage bill. Why the hell are we thinking otherwise that we can't win that competition? Because it's a losing mentality, really, isn't it, Dan? If you agree. But if we're not putting ourselves in a position of we should and need to win this competition, you respect the other teams to do so. No one wins a competition thinking that you'll breeze past everyone apart from Chelsea in the Conference League because the difference is gargantuan. But Villa in the Europa League, we respect or try to respect every team. Hopefully we learn from young boys. to kind of go to different places or even at home to treat teams with respect. But this is our competition. We have to win it this season. Nothing other than winning it is satisfactory. And if your target is to win the competition and you don't reach your target, you fail to reach your target. It's failure. In the Premier League, it's a completely different ballgame. 2 different competitions, 2 different objectives. My focus is on the Europa League because we have to win. Have to win a trophy.
What do you think is the more likely outcome as we sit here recording this today? Villa win the Europa League, or they finish in a Champions League qualification place via the Premier League, so 5th, 4th, whatever it is.
I would probably. It's hard to say likely because it's kind of putting me in the. Put it this way: I think it would be harder to finish in the top 4 of the Premier League than win the Europa League. But that's hard because that's not me putting down the Europa League whatsoever because we know how difficult that's going to be. Like it really will be. European football is a completely different beast. I think we've learned that as well. You can play Midtjylland away from home and lose, and you not know a single one of those Midtjylland players, and that's not necessarily disrespect. It's just this is European football. It's madness. Go ahead, Eagles beat Villa, but lose 4-0 at home to Stuttgart. It's you need to make sense of it somehow. But the only reason I say that, sorry, Dan, just quick, the top 4 of the Premier League are just over the course of 38 games. If the squad that we have, which I think is a very strong 11, and we do have depth, but Lindelof instead of Konsa, Sancho instead of Morgan Roger. I do think there is a drop off in certain areas. The midfield for me is stacked, and that's nice. We don't have another number 9. Malen can play there, but 2 different players, Malen and Watkins to me. Man City, Liverpool, even Tottenham to a point, but more so Chelsea, Arsenal, even Man United. Like I think and I hope that we can finish above Man United and possibly Spurs as well. But Liverpool will probably come back at some point. Right now, it looks favourable, but I just think over 38 games, if we're the put it this way, I think if we're the 4th best team in the Premier League, I do think there's going to be a considerable underperformance of other teams.
Yeah, and that could
because
happen.
they should be better than Villa, considering the money that they've spent and the players that they have.
What I'm about to say here, or what I'm trying to unpack in my head, is probably very oxymoron. I think there's the things I'm going through are very conflicting. I don't think our squad is that good. I think our 11 is good, and a couple beyond it are good. They can be great, right? Sancho could really turn things around. Harvey Elliott, if he ever plays for us properly, who knows? He could be a good player. Lindelof could come in for the odd game and do well in one game, but if you had to rely on him for a run of 6 or 7, I'd be worried, right? So there's absolutely flaws throughout that, but the core 11, if they're on form, is strong. Mm-hmm. So that would, for that squad to finish 4th or higher, would be a real achievement and the best that we've done. I think this is the weakest squad we've had under Emery in terms of options or depth or quality, however you want to say. Once you go beyond 13 or 14 players, I'm kind of struggling a little bit. Yeah. So for that to happen would be an achievement. However, the kind of big game mentality thing, has that been fixed? And we will not know until we play a really serious big game. But you need to get over that to win a cup competition, because you have those big moments. Now, there's big games and big moments in a 38-game Premier League season. The game that is the one that seals your 4th place finish is a big game. And if you win it, you've got over that big game experience. But you know what I mean? Yeah. That feels different in the league than it does in a cup competition. But I feel like there's something about Emery specifically that can get that kind of churning mentality of the league of just be consistent, do these basic things right 38 times. Yeah, well, somehow that is easier than getting it right in like 12 one-off games in a cup competition.
I think you're saying that mainly because that's what we've seen though in the last 2 years.
We actually haven't won a trophy, but we have been able to grind it out.
Yeah, and even last season we didn't quite get exactly what we wanted in the end. But I think it was still a phenomenal achievement to get to where we were. Yeah, so both full campaigns that we've had of Emery, I think, have been super, like incredibly good. So that's the reason why I think some fans would say, it's probably more likely we do finish in the top 4 than win the Europa League. But finish in the top 2, and I think we have I think we've got a major opportunity to do something in that competition. So yeah.
Okay, let's end then with goal difference, which is how we did not get into the Champions League last year. This is from Koalatov Mocktail. now that our professional win over Leeds has taken us up to 4.
Can I just say that?
No, I can. Is it time for us to start panicking about goal difference? We're the only team in the top 4 to have goal difference in single figures. I'll read through those in a sec. Last season, Dan told us not to worry about goal difference, so I didn't.
Not again.
Not my fault, mate. You can do what you like. Big mistake. Is it time to start worrying earlier now? Please let me know so I can start ramping it up on social media. So goal difference so far of the top 4. Arsenal obviously top, have 18. Chelsea have 12. Man City have 14. Villa in 4th have 4. Crystal Palace 7. Brighton 3. Sunderland 3. And then the highest is Spurs with 6th down in 9th. So our goal difference, and we've spoken about this last season as well, that sometimes goal difference is a decent barometer of how a side is doing generally, or the trend of a side. That good goal difference equals good team, and not great goal difference means maybe you're overperforming if you're up in a higher position but your goal difference is low. And that's what we had with Villa last year as well. We managed to grind games out, but our goal difference wasn't great and ultimately did cost us in the end from achieving what we wanted to, grinding out a 38-game season and finishing in the Champions League places, which we should have done if not for that final day that nobody's probably ever going to get over. So goal difference, it is important. Is it time to worry about it 12 games in? Probably not. But it would be nice to build up a bit of a head of steam like we did with the Bournemouth result. And if we can have Wolves, for example, to win 1-0, brilliant, we've won a game, got more points, happy days. But to win 5-0, whilst that is also brilliant, of like, wow, we beat Wolves 5-0, that's amazing. The goal difference element is important because that goal difference then is then 9 and it looks more similar to the size around us. So it is important. Yeah. Is it too early to be worried about it though?
Yeah, it's far too early to be worrying about it.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to make any bold claims so far done that it won't matter, but I'd advise you not to. No,
I've had 2 predictions on this channel. One was that we'll finish top 4. We did. Then the following season, forget goal difference.
You had to get that one in, didn't you?
So yeah, one good one, one not so good one. Yeah. I'll think of something.
Only 2 predictions.
Oh yeah.
Don't think about it though.
No, the other 500 that have been terrible. Forget those.
Yeah, I do think it's something though. Villa in general, since Emery's come in, there's always been something to talk about in terms of the goal difference. When in the first full season that we had, we scored lots of goals, but we conceded loads as well. Say loads, we've conceded more in previous campaigns, but for the position we were in, it was a very
record amount.
It was up there. It was up there for sure. Yeah, definitely. And then last season as well, we didn't score as many, conceded a few more, a few fewer even, but again, still not quite there. So this season, maybe, trying to throw it into a positive, maybe this can be the season where we do kind of overthrow it a little bit. We concede less and score more. So yeah, listen, the results will come. But I do think there's possibly something to be said about the goal difference, maybe since the start of last season, that maybe it is kind of proof that we are capable of grinding out those results, because there may be some games where we'll go to Anfield, we'll lose 2-0. That's a -2. We'll go to Chelsea, lose 3-0 as we did last season, -3. And that's already, those are pretty big dents that the likes of Arsenal or Man City don't often suffer. If they lose, it's by a goal, usually, right? Whereas for Villa, if we lose, sometimes it can be by a couple. And if we win away from home, it might be by 1. And I know this is kind of getting a bit repetitive, but then a City may win 4-0 on the road, and we very rarely do that. So, but we know we're not of the quality personnel-wise of those teams, so maybe it is a little bit of proof of some players are being or are playing to the kind of their maximum ability under Emery, which we've seen kind of the worst side of that in terms of Gerrard. They were probably playing at the worst, and now Emery, some of them at their best, and that doesn't necessarily have to translate to us winning 4-5-0 in matches, but it means we can get over the line and grind out results, and that's fine. I don't think we are going to ever be a team, even under Emery, who's arguably arguably the greatest manager. Certainly one of the greatest managers the club has had in its history. We're still going to have to grind results out. It doesn't mean that we have the right to just turn teams over. And I heard you last night saying about like Bournemouth. You made the point of we don't tend to kind of put teams to the sword. And you said, well, of course, Bournemouth happened. But I kind of agreed with what you're saying, because, well, actually, if Semenyo scores that penalty, that's a very nervous ending. Let's say nervous ending. We had 20 minutes, half an hour left. Bournemouth could have, who knows where that game would have gone then. So I wouldn't say it's like a concern of mine. I've kind of just accepted that we're not as good as the top teams, but we are a very good team. I don't know quite how to quantify that, but I think people understand what I'm saying.
I kind of had a giggle to myself then while you were up talking, because the point I was about to make was, well, in theory, it's easier to get one more point over the course of a 38-game season than to rely on scoring lots of goals to get your goal difference good. But then last year happened where goal difference did be what was the deciding factor on the final day. But do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to win 3-0 because you still only get 3 points, whether you win 3-0 or 1-0 or 5-1 or 1-0, right? So if you can grind out wins are wins, points are points, that's important. But having the odd game here and there where you do score a few would be quite nice, because it does prove to be important, as we saw last year, which who saw that coming? Not me. Speaking of predictions, let's end this show with our score prediction and have a catch up on where the predictions league is over the last few weeks. We'll get to Leeds in a minute. Liverpool, a few weeks ago, neither of us got that at all. I went for a victory, you went for a draw. We lost, of course, so 0 points each. Bournemouth, I said 2-1 Villa. You said 1-1. So obviously I got 1 point there for being correct. You got nothing. Leeds away, I said 3-1. Leeds away, in fact, for the Fanzone show last week, we didn't do predictions. Somehow we completely forgot it. So I text you, so we have written proof, if anyone wants to see it, of our score predictions pre-game.
I sent you a voice note there.
I mean,
it wasn't written proof.
Maybe you sent it after the result.
I can't be. I was walking back from Bodymore.
I said 3-1 Villa. You said 2-1 Villa. So I got 1 point for the correct outcome. You got 3 points for the correct scoreline. So approaching, I was about to say the halfway point, not all, the third way point of the season. You have 8 points in the prediction league from 12 games. And I have 13.
Okay.
So I'm more than a point per game now. So I'm doing okay. What's that? 5 point swing. So I've got to get this completely wrong, and you've got to get it completely right to even have a dent in that lead. So Wolves at home. I'd be amazed if either of us didn't predict a Villa win. So how many are you going for?
2-1 Villa.
2-1. Oh, okay. Tighter than I was expecting. I'm going to go, despite everything we've just said, I'm going to say 4-1. And we will score some goals. Yeah. Why not? It'd be nice, wouldn't it? Let us know your score predictions in the comments, as always, and anything else that we've discussed throughout this show. Obviously, we didn't do a up-to-date Q&A for the Leeds game because I wasn't around, so the mailbag was full of stuff, and a lot of them that weren't time-sensitive, so we will chip away at those over the Q&As over the coming weeks. I think we're doing one on Monday, but we're also filming some bits and pieces next week. That means we're very busy, so our usual programming may be affected, but do stay tuned to the Claret Blue podcast for our usual bits and pieces, just maybe not on the usual days. Let's leave it at that, shall we? We'll be back on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening for the post-match show. That'll be myself and Kendrick. And we will do some kind of Q&A. I just don't know what day it is. And obviously we play a midweek game next week in the Premier League as well. So there'll be post-matches. And it all gets a bit chaotic in December, doesn't it? Lots of games, lots of podcasts.
Yeah. Brighton away next week. Then it's Arsenal and Basel, West Ham, Man United, then Christmas. So, yeah, some tough games. But... because they come thick and fast at the same time, I do think this month's really important, because I do think after this month, things will start to take shape. So, yeah. And obviously, we finish it pretty tough. I mean, Arsenal and Chelsea, both away, the top two at the moment. So if we can get some points in the bag before then, that would be ideal.
Play Arsenal twice, don't we, in December? Imagine we win them both. Title race. Blown open. Get involved in the usual comment sections with your thoughts. Something I want to bring back. We did this before and we stopped doing it. I don't know why. I want people to leave a comment if they got all the way to the end. I want to know who's listening to all of the shows. So we had Up the Meal Deal as a rife comment on the post-match show last night. So do you want to suggest a word or a phrase for people to leave?
Whenever you do this, mine goes completely blank. No, go on.
Leave completely blank down in the comments.
Completely. Yeah, that just about sums me up on a Friday night.
Okay. If you watch to the end of this show, leave completely blank in the comments. Don't leave him blank. Write completely blank. And we'll know that you stayed to the end of the fan zone or just skipped to the end of this 45-minute ramble. John, thank you very much for your time as always. We'll be back on Sunday with a post-match show. So do join us then if you can.